As someone who's been sharing my fitness journey online for almost a decade now, I've gone through so many different phases in my fitness journey. I've been at my skinniest when I was bodybuilding in my early 20s, and I've also been at my heaviest in my pregnancy era and postpartum as well. So no matter what phase you are in, I guarantee you could actually build that confidence today, and I'm going to show you how. If you're new here, my name is Jen. I am a mom, a wife. I co-own an online fitness coaching business helping thousands of women, especially moms just like you, really get stronger and not smaller physically, mentally, and spiritually. So if you like that stuff, then keep on watching and subscribe to my channel. Also, I hope you guys like my new setup. I'm literally right behind my couch and we have this big window here and I just love the lighting, and I just like this kind of casual moment where you and I can just talk. And so we're going to dive into it. So I find the number one thing that a lot of moms want to have is confidence. And usually when they tie confidence, they usually tie it to fitness. Like usually, at least for me, this is something that I always thought in my head, that if I was at my skinniest or I looked a certain way, then I'll be confident. When in reality, confidence can actually be built no matter what phase you're in. So I'm going to be sharing my top tips on how you could build confidence no matter what phase you are in your journey. And starting with number one, confidence is tied to your habits and the skills that you build, not the end result. Again, confidence is one of the top things that a lot of moms want to have in their own journey. And if you look at it this way, when you are starting a new job, or maybe you're starting a new sport, and you're starting anything new for that matter, whether it's just going to the gym for the first time, starting a new career, again, going into a new environment where you kind of feel like a noob, you're gonna feel not confident, right? And a good analogy I always tell moms is whenever you're starting your fitness journey, you are gonna kind of suck when you're starting, right? It's gonna feel a little awkward. You're not gonna feel like your best, but that is totally normal. It is kind of the prerequisite when it comes to building confidence, because anything new, whether again you are becoming a doctor or a nurse, you're not going to be good at it first, right? When you go and start a new job, we always say, give yourself a good 1 to 2 weeks so you start building momentum, so you start getting used to a routine and start getting better in your own environment and starting a whole new lifestyle. And so when it comes to your fitness, you need to understand that with confidence, the more and more you get better with the habits and the skills that you build, the more confident you will become, and that momentum will build. So if you're not confident in going to the gym and executing the workouts, yeah, it's normal to feel kind of a noob sometimes and feeling like you don't know what you're doing. Or when you are meal prepping and getting your meals together and you don't know what your macros are and things like that, it's going to feel a little new at first. And so learning to build those skills and those habits, again, is the prerequisite to building confidence. And when you understand that, you'll realize that the tough or the hard kind of transition phase is only just the prerequisite to building confidence. Tip number two is focusing more on strength goals rather than the number on the scale or a particular size. Now, I remember in my early 20s, I wanted to be at my skinniness. I always wanted to have six-pack abs, really nice skinny arms. And I gone to the point where I started competing and doing hundreds of cardio and being literally at my leanest, and I was probably the most miserable. And that was really just a huge mindset blow up for me, where I was just chasing an ideal image, but it really wasn't fixing the thing that I was truly kind of chasing, which was my mindset and how I was looking at myself internally. And then on top of that, when I was so fixated with the number on the scale or being a certain size, or even just feeling my belly fat getting skinnier and skinnier, I would literally drive myself crazy to the point where I would either starve myself or do more cardio just to get to a certain number. And it just wasn't a happy and fun experience. Tracking those metrics, like maybe your dress size or the number on the scale, is still important. You want to track that data. But another thing that you can track that is outside from just that number are things like, maybe, are you lifting stronger at the gym? Are you tracking your weights? Do you have more energy? Is your strength at the gym? Are you hitting PRs? Things like that. And that's why it's important to really not just have the weight as just kind of the only metric to track, you want to track other metrics outside of that to really have an indicator of your progress. And when I started focusing on getting stronger, hitting PRs, pushing to failure, and really tracking those numbers, it was such a motivating thing for me rather than just seeing the number on the scale go down, because the number on the scale is going to fluctuate. You know, there have been so many times, like I said, where I've been so many different sizes that it's just not worth it being hyper fixed on the number. And so doing these things on focusing like your strength, your energy, you know, are you feeling changes in your clothes, things like that can really help shift the focus in terms of building that confidence or building those small wins that will lead to the confidence that you're looking for. Which leads me to tip number 3, which is celebrating the small wins. So there are so many things if you really pay attention to your day to day. And this is why I love, like, our clients check in with us every week. We get them to really hyper focus on the little things that they can celebrate throughout the week, not just the number on the scale or even just progress pictures, but little things like showing up for yourself, of getting up in the morning and getting a workout in, or making sure that you got like your meals prepped and you bulk prepped, you know, twice this week. Or maybe again, like you're tracking your numbers and you notice that you're getting stronger. Like these are these little wins that can really compound and lead to bigger wins down the road. And really celebrating this can really be beneficial to building confidence, because sometimes we can get so hyper focused on the end result or what we're going to be doing next week, next month, that we forget to show gratitude and little things that we are doing to push the needle forward now, that we can then be like, aha, like there are things that I'm doing to get me closer, and I really need to celebrate that. So focusing on smaller wins is going to then compound and snowball into bigger wins down the road. Next is tip number 4, which is buying clothes in your size. And this is something that I really stood out to me when I was in pregnancy and even postpartum, where my belly was getting bigger and bigger and bigger and my clothes were not fitting anymore. And I remember just going up a size and a size up. And it's funny because the old me would have been horrified. I remember, you know, even in my early 20s when I was not feeling my best, I was definitely overweight, I would just hide in my clothes. I would hide in photos, I would hide in my clothes, I would just like bury myself in like bigger clothing. Where this time around during pregnancy, and I gained over 70 pounds, I remember going into the stores and actually being excited, because I was not just in a season of like growing a baby, which is like one of the most miraculous things you could do as a woman, but I was fitting things that fit my body at that time. And because I was looking at it that way, I really got excited about it and I felt good about it and I felt confident in my body. And when you really shift the focus of just like loving your body and embracing your curves that you're in, it could really shift how you look at yourself. But also it's funny because like there's so many pregnancy like clothes out there that you could feel comfortable in. And so I was trying to find like, I remember buying leggings that were 2 to 3 sizes bigger. I was, you know, buying shirts that, you know, fit me, that were still fitted, but still fit the size that I was. And doing that really helped me. And another thing too, even before pregnancy, when I was doing a bulking phase, or even when I was in prep, like I remember buying different like leggings and sweaters and t-shirts at different sizes at different phases because they just simply weren't fitting me. Like I didn't like when I was feeling the rolls on my stomach when I was wearing leggings that were too small for me at that time because I was building muscle and I was in a calorie surplus. So I remember going up in sizes and I felt better about it, you know, and it's those little things that can really help you, because I find that a lot of people are trying to fit into like a certain dress size when really you want to buy clothes that fit your body right now. And people like, especially fitness influencers or fitness coaches who strategically prep for bodybuilding, or if they're in a intentional growth phase or even just in pregnancy, you intentionally buy clothes that are bigger, right? And so you have to keep in mind that that is normal, that is totally okay, and know that you're not going to just stay one size forever, right? Especially if it's strategic, like especially if you're in the season of building muscle, especially if you're in the season of building a baby, right? You're going to buy clothes that are appropriate for the season you are in, and that's totally fine. So it just gives you another excuse to go shopping, right? So tip number 5 is learning how to take photos. Now, I feel like this is like the era of like social media, but something that I learned in bodybuilding was learning how to pose, learning how to do a routine where you're like trying to look like pose a certain way. We all have a good side. Like, let's be real here, guys. Like, we all want to feel confident when we take photos, but how amazing would it be if you knew how to take photos of yourself in a certain pose where you can kind of feel a little flattering? And that's okay, because sometimes when I would take photos and I'd just be like standing like normal square up, it's not going to be the most flattering, right? Where if you are posing a certain way, and this is something that I used to do, I would like pose in front of the mirror, or even just in my camera when I would posing, or I would do gym selfies. I've been doing gym selfies for like ever, and it really taught me how to really take photos of myself at different stages. And I remember I did a pregnancy photo shoot, I did a postpartum photo shoot, I did a, photo shoot even before I had kids. And it really helped me, learn my body and learn how to pose in my body. And there's nothing wrong with that. People are gonna be like, oh, that's so vanity driven. Like, everyone is like, everyone loves doing that to a certain extent, but when it comes to taking photos, learning and being prepared and learning like your angles will be super beneficial, and you're going to feel confident, standing in front of that camera when you're around your family, or when you're just taking a photo at a photo shoot. You will feel confidence, and that's going to breed confidence. Like, when I would pose and teach posing at the time, I would tell people, round your shoulders back, right? Head up, think high, think like someone's pulling you from a string. And even just changing your posture, that in itself, you just feel more confident, right? Like, the energy just shifts. And this is something that I'm guilty of too, but your energy matches the posture that you give. So if you're like hunched over, right, like this, you're going to feel a little bit more reserved. Where if you're walking into a room and your chest is up, your shoulders are high, your stomach is in, your head is tilted up, like, I already feel like a bad bitch. So learning how to pose is totally okay, and I highly recommend it. Look cringe, right? Practice being cringe in front of the camera or in front of the mirror at home. It is going to help breed confidence just right off the bat, no matter what phase you are in. So practice, and you will thank me later. Tip number 6 is surrounding yourself with people who are going to lift you up. It is so true, and I know you guys have all heard the saying where you become your own environment. You become the 5 people you surround yourself with. So that could be either 5 people who are negative Nancy's and have a terrible mindset, or you could be around 5 millionaires. You're going to definitely be a millionaire. And it's the same thing when it comes to your fitness. You have to be super mindful of who you surround yourself with, especially when you're alone. And when I mean alone, and this is something that I experience as well, even though the motherhood community is so big and so supportive, it's also really lonely, because if you're in your newborn stage, or, even if you're just a new mom, like, you're alone most of the time. And when you're alone or at your home with your baby, you're on social media, like, you're in front of your screens, and you see everything online, and that really does affect your mental health. And so you want to surround yourself with people, especially people on social media, who's going to boost you up, who's going to lift you up, who's going to speak positive affirmations to you. Those are the people you want to surround yourself with. And filtering people online is definitely part of that community. So just make sure that you are surrounding yourself with positive people, hiring a coach, having someone literally talk positive affirmations, and that in and of itself will bring confidence into your life literally right away. And lastly, tip number 7 is really talking positively about yourself. You wouldn't talk negatively or talk down to your kids. Why are we talking down to ourselves like that? Why are we beating ourselves up mentally and emotionally when we F up or mess up, right? Really make sure that you are super aware of how you talk to yourself, right? Are you speaking positive or negative affirmations? I think that in and of itself is such a hard thing for a lot of people to do. I know I can be hard on myself sometimes, but when you love yourself enough, especially in your fitness journey, I find that a lot of women, when they start the fitness journey, it's because they hate where they're at. And everyone starts their fitness journey with that. But what keeps you going is learning to love yourself through the fitness journey and speaking positive affirmations. Because if you're someone who's like constantly beating yourself down, that's not going to give you the motivation to keep going, right? So just make sure that you give yourself a little bit of grace, especially if you're a mom. Like, it is not perfect. You're going to have a lot of ups and downs. I know I have. So give yourself a ton of grace and just keep going, because no one's going to save us but ourselves, right? So I hope that was super beneficial. Let me know what your thoughts are about those tips. Did you find them helpful? Did you not find them helpful? Are there tips in terms of building confidence that has helped you? Please let us know. Let's start a mama thread in the comments. I really would love to know what has helped you build confidence, and especially if you're a fitness girly like me, before pregnancy and after pregnancy, confidence is key to anything. And so if you like this stuff, please subscribe to my channel. This is part of a postpartum series that I'm adding. So if you like this video, then you'll really love the other videos that I have. I will link it up here and also down below. Again, subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.